Welcome back, Exes and T podcast fans. Hey guys, it's been a little while. I'm excited to be back with you guys today. Just wanted to, as always, at the very beginning, just thank everybody for the support. I know we have so many new people who are here and listening, and if that's you, I'm really grateful that you're here. If you've been here since day one, thank you for sticking around. Really, really grateful for everybody who has messaged me and who has just continued to show support and just be there for, especially all the people who have left these different spaces, right? Because as you can imagine, it's lonely when you leave. It's very lonely. Again, super grateful for that. But speaking of loneliness after you leave, guys, let me tell you, I could not be any more grateful when I get an opportunity to speak with somebody new, somebody who has a brand new perspective and a new story. And let me tell you guys, we have someone brand new with us today. And guess what? They did, in fact, leave the business. So, disclaimers. I and my guest are here speaking on personal experiences based on personal opinions, okay? Opinions, experiences, we have those, okay? And I think most importantly, I want people to know that I'm not here to tell you what to do. If you are over the age of 18 and you want to join either Worldwide, any of the various different Amway tools businesses, Amway itself, you know what? I would recommend you listen to other people's stories so you can see exactly what you're getting yourself into. But by all means, you can do what you want, okay? But again, sharing personal opinions based on personal experiences. Let's go. You guys, I'm excited. We have Lisa here with us today. Lisa is an incredible person who spent, I will let her tell you how much time in the business, but I'm really excited because the perspective that she offers is truly a unique one. So thank you so much, Lisa, for being with us.
Thank you, Danny. Wow. Thanks for the great conversations we've been having lately. And 30 years. I'm a 30-year vet, Worldwide Amway veteran. And I'm just here to talk about whatever you want. Ask me what you want. Tell me what you'd like me to share. I've got a pretty crazy story, I guess I would say, and I'll start with that.
Thank you. I'm grateful. So I'm really excited because, like I said, you have this unique perspective. First and foremost, how long have you actually been out of the business?
Technically, really, I'm just a newbie out of the business. I literally became non-IBO status just within the last month.
Wow.
So, yeah. And I had stopped going to things and stopped attending functions. But literally, I just within the last month canceled Kate, Premiere, all the apps, and downsized from, canceled my our IBO status, my husband and I. So, yeah, very recent.
Wow. Are you okay? That's always the first question I ask. Like, are you good?
Well, thanks for asking. For a while before I even did that, I was watching and looking for stuff like what you do and I listened to everything I could get my hand on and found your podcast. And I really felt blessed to find you because you were in WWG. To me, that was like, oh my gosh, she's going to get it. These people are going to get it because you know what if you came out of Worldwide. You just know what we're talking about. We know the lingo. We know it all. So I had started doing what they tell you never to do. I started digging. I started looking online. I started finding information. I started going to Reddit and just started reading and soaking up all the things we were told never to do. And that has really helped me while I was kind of not there yet to cancel stuff and get off the apps and everything. I've been ready for a long time. I just needed to take the plunge, And honestly, it was my husband. My husband's had a little bit harder time than I have. He's struggling a little bit, but he's coming around. Yeah.
Yeah. I empathize with him. I really do. It is, both of you guys, it's a hard decision to leave anyways. But for you guys, it's what you would have imagined 30 years of friendship, right?
Yeah.
For them, maybe not. But for you, that's 30 years of thinking that these people are the end all be all for you. When you had first gotten around this organization, this business, what year was that, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, no, actually just a little bit of a snippet that could help put perspective on my start in this was I met my husband in 1995 and he was already in the business. He built it to 1,000 PV. And we met through a personal ad. And now that I look back, I realize that was even part of it. Luckily, we love each other. We've been married for 30 years, but his upline told him to find a wife. And he was single and out of college. And it's really sad because he actually quit college to build the Amway business. He was on track to play pro sports. He was getting drafted for a team in Canada. He was a super good athlete. Like he was played semi-pro baseball, football, and wrestling, college level. And so just that little bit of history. And he quit all of that to build the Amway business because somebody in college showed him the plan. And he's like, this is what I'm going to do. This is my new world. You know, they sold him the dream. You know how they do. They sold him the dream, and he just bit it hook, line, and sinker, man. And so anyway, at the time he was starting to build it, he's been involved since 1989. So he's way before we even met. He was building the business, and he and I met through a personal ad because his upline told him he needed to find a wife, and that, you know how Worldwide is very couples oriented.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of singles in the business. They're there, but it's very couples oriented. And those of us that had been in know that. And so I had put an ad in the paper at the time looking for just, kind of like that was when the personal ads were starting getting really popular. And okay, what the heck? I had some friends that had met some great guys doing that. I'm like, I'm going to do that. Okay. And so I met my husband through a personal ad, and we met, and the first date he ever took me on was a board plan.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh out loud, but
no, it's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Wow.
I didn't even know what I'm like. He's like, I want to take you. I mean, we had gone out to lunch a couple times, I would say. So it's not like that was the first thing, but
sure.
I mean, after we dated for a couple weeks, it's like it's like official now. We're dating. He's like, I want to take you to this thing and put on a really, really nice dress, and I'm going to be in this suit. And I'm like, okay, I didn't know what it was. So he took me to a board plan, and yeah. And so that was our first date. Yeah. So to answer your original question, that's a little bit of the story, but that was in 1995. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we got married in 1996, a year later. So he was crossing stage. So we went to that board plan, and then he was crossing stage probably a month after that at 1,000 PV. And I was just getting to try to understand what's this business and what's this, what's Amway. I just didn't know. And his upline platinum at the time that was helping him do all the things that he'd been doing and building the business and such, and he had his little team there, and I was fired up. I was like, this is cool, man. This was exciting, and it felt like family because I never really had a family growing up, and I came from a really broken home where my mom was married 14 times when I was growing up, and a lot of brokenness. And I realize now that this business really attracts a lot of very vulnerable people. And if your mental health is off in any way and you are not thriving in life mentally, you are a target for this business because they love bomb you. They just swoop in and you think, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. These people are the most amazing people I've ever met in my life. And I think some of them are. I think some of them are genuinely caring, good people. But the big kingpins, no. Yeah. I came to learn that's not, you're being used. So, but that's just really how we started. My husband and I started, and then we got married, and then he just added me to his IBO ship, and it became our business starting in 1996. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So for the record, you guys, things still haven't changed because they might not have personal ads, but they're out there on all of the up-to-date dating apps, Bumble, Hinge, Grindr, if that's your thing. They're out there, they're pursuing people, and they're doing it through these different avenues, which, I mean, I'm glad that it really worked out for you and your husband in that it's really a good situation. Oh, but wow. If you guys don't want, if you don't want to fall in the traps of Amway, be careful who you're on dating apps with.
Yeah. And you know what? It's so weird to think back. Every single one of our bridesmaid and groomsmen were in our business. It's like they were our downline and our upline. It was like we had an Amway wedding. It was just so.
But it's so common. Actually, I think I had a couple on Hope and Fisher. I'm pretty sure there were also in her business and and they were people from her business who were in their wedding, as well as I believe that I think she went by Sophia. I think Sophia also had a couple people in her wedding as well. It's very, very common.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
right. They put people together because if you get married in the business, you are more likely to stay in the business. It's very unique the way that they push the nuclear family. That is exactly what they think everybody wants. Stay-at-home wife and the husband is out there fighting for the family and good old-fashioned America. Like, that's really what they pursue. Was that something you wanted? Was this like, I want this idea of what what they consider a perfect life looks like?
Yeah, that's just a really key question, I think, because you have to look back after 30 years. I have to look back and go, why was I attracted to this? Why didn't I see what some people see immediately? And that's such a huge part of it is the love bombing that they do, the all encompassing, we're your new family feeling, like we love you and we believe in you. And I never had that growing up. I never had a father. I never had a mom, really. She just, unfortunately, I loved my mom, but she wasn't mentally well. She had undiagnosed bipolar for most of her life back in the 70s when I was growing up. I was born in the late 60s, but so I'm not some young spring chicken anymore, but I came from that era where it was like, you got married if you were going to sleep with somebody. And my mom, and plus my family was Mormon, so there was that element of it too. I'm not Mormon, but I had that in my background. So there was all these things going on, all this dysfunction going on, and I was always looking for a family. And when I met my husband, and he took me to that first meeting, I've never met more nice people in my life. I was like, this just can't be real. I thought I was in a dream world. So yeah, I started going to all the Portland functions, and I felt really like I finally had found. Oh, and then he told me to listen to "Pigs Don't Know Pigs Stink" by Dave Severn. I'm sure all the worldwide people.
I know who that is. I don't know the audio, but I know who Dave Severn is, and I can only imagine.
Dave Severn is, he's a legend. He's a legend. I remember listening to him and thinking, because he was super into like marriage and husbands take care of your wives and all these things that I needed in my soul. And I remember thinking, if my husband's going to be anything like that, I'm in, because I needed that in my life. I needed a man that would be like a dad to me, because I never had that. So what your original question is like, I just saw a family, and I wanted to be a part of it. I really did.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, it's when you're raised in such a volatile situation, it's hard to even envision what that looks like. It does feel like when they tell you to create a dream board, right? And you have this picture of what the ideal lifestyle is. I mean, that they paint the picture perfectly. And I'm right there with you. I mean, I was not by any means raised Mormon. I think that also adds another aspect of uniqueness to your story. But I have a narcissistic mother. She has her own mental health issues. We do not have a relationship today. And when I was amidst those moments where I was kind of forced back to being in close proximity to her, I lived with her. These people were the biggest breath of fresh air I had ever seen. So when you say they find vulnerable people, especially when you come from that broken home, it's like, wow, your upline, they become your mom and dad. Those are, even if they're like younger than you or whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, they are your people. And I absolutely understand why something like that would be so attractive. And wow. Yeah. So what was it like being, growing up LDS in Portland?
I actually didn't grow up in Portland. Because of my mother's constant marriages, I have been all over the country, and our Mormon phase, of me being a kid growing up that way, was mostly in Texas and in Medford, Oregon, which is Southern Oregon. So I've never was a Mormon here. I came here as an adult. I wasn't raised here. I came here in 1990 after living in California on my own. When I left home basically when I was 18 and told my mom pretty much F you. And I was done. I was done with all of it. I just couldn't handle any more of her problems. So I left and went to California for many, many years, and then moved to Portland in 1990. So I was only here as an adult from then till now, meeting my husband in 1995. But yeah, that's another aspect of it is like, I think women in general, we're just kind of made to want a family. I just think it's part of who we are. We want to have our children, and we want to have a happy home, and want to have a great husband, and we want to have that happy home, right? I think it's just women in general. We yearn for that. At least I know I did. I yearned for that family model. And when I saw all the marriages and stuff in Worldwide, and they kept saying how their divorce rate was only 2% and all this stuff, I was like, wow, this felt just so, I felt like what a godsend this came into my life. That's how I felt when I first found out about it and became part of it, which that slowly eroded over the years. And it's hard to explain the control and the manipulation that can happen over a 30-year period of time. I'm embarrassed to even say it was 30 years actually, but I've had so many people tell me, don't feel embarrassed. It's just, you were a victim of this manipulation that goes on, and the games that they play, and they really are. You're being used as a tool. And I have discovered what they do for as long as they can. They keep someone in and make money off of you for as long as they can get away with it, until you finally wake up. And most people do at some point. Yeah. Most people do. I mean, most people don't last 30 years. I think we did, because honestly, my husband and I are genuinely good people. We never manipulated anybody. And all the people that have came and went out of our business, and we did build the business to some levels of success over the years, they all quit. And when they did, we never judged them. We never got angry with them. I just tried to be their friend, a genuine friend. We're still friends with every one of our downline to this day, because we were not manipulative people. And I suppose that's why we never really made it to the big pins, because we're not that way.
Yeah. Right. Wow. But and honestly, good for you guys, because even though the dream is to get there, mm-hmm. it's the horrible things you have to do to get there. Right.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's almost a blessing that people who leave never really made it to that level, because I feel like it's almost like an internal battle. Like you worked so hard. Like there's a part of me that almost kind of understands why people would stay after they start receiving money at the top level. When you're talking of just throwing your life and money away, I mean, it's hard to recover some of that money. It's like, I feel like it could be hard for somebody to walk away from that, especially if you poured in so much.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I sat down and did a profit and loss statement, Danny, oh my God, I can't even describe how I felt. I felt sick. I felt absolutely ashamed. I felt so many feelings, and I was really, really, really angry at them, at myself, at us for felt stupid. I felt taken advantage of. I feel so manipulated. But I realized that this is what they do. This is how subtly, they make you think. And this is how they always describe Worldwide. And you probably remember this. It's a college. You're not putting money into a college, but you're putting money into this education system. And, you're bettering yourself. It's self-development. So they get you to buy into this for such a long time, because you really think that you're benefiting yourself. Well, come to find out, this whole tool scam thing is they're making money off of you. And they're doing it for as long as they can get away with it, until you finally figure it out. And the evidence of that is what I was telling you earlier before we got online, is that when I told my upline that we were going to step down and not be IBOs anymore, he called me an imposter. I mean,
that's wild.
It's like, after 30 years of knowing you people, I'm now an imposter. It couldn't be love you, wish you the best, like we used to do for our downline. Love you guys. We're always here for you. If you ever need anything, please reach out. That was my goodbye to somebody. But mine was, you're an imposter. This can't be you that's sending this message. Who's really sending this message? Who does that?
Because you couldn't possibly, right? Like, that's insane to me.
Yeah. So, you realize over a period of time, and I remember I felt this way probably for the last 20 years. I'll say the first 10 years, Marlon and I were pretty solid. We had built the business to about 2,500, pretty much almost to 4,000 a couple of times. So it felt like we were on our way to going platinum, and we had a downline, and we were eagles and double eagles and all this different stuff, and making those, hitting those parameters and those qualifications and those incentives and stuff that they're always trying to get you to hit these incentives so you can go to their house, and you can go to this, and you can go to that. So we were always working hard to get around your upline. That's what they teach, as you know. Get around your upline. That's the best place to be. We missed weddings. We missed really important things over the years because we were programmed to believe that there was nothing more important than this. Everything needs to be put on hold. Don't invest in anything else. Don't put your eggs in any other basket. It's all this or nothing. And we believed that for a really, really long time because we truly thought these people cared for us. We truly thought they were our friends and they wanted the best for us. But things started to unravel when I would see diamonds get divorced, when I would see all of a sudden there was this huge couple who were double diamonds down in the Crown's business, B&J's business, and they're at all the functions. They're speaking. They're double diamonds. They might have, they were double diamonds at the time, and huge, huge, huge popular pins in the business, right? And then all of a sudden, they're just gone. It's like they're gone. Where'd they go? I mean, their CDs are everywhere. They're being pumped at you constantly, and then all of a sudden, we go to FED or whatever the heck it is, and they're gone. And then I finally find out through asking some questions, oh, well, he cheated on his wife. They're getting a divorce. And for years, we didn't see her. She was kind of kept in the background. It's like, this is what they did. They keep you in the background long enough to where you'll forget.
Yes.
To where you'll forget.
Yeah, they just reemerge. Like you're supposed to pretend that they were never together.
Yep. So then she reemerges with a whole new husband. And
I know. I know who you're talking about.
So you know, and he's the techie guy, and he's friends with the Crowns, really good friends with the Crowns family, and all of a sudden they're married, and he's the new husband, and they're back on stage talking, and you're like, why? Yeah. This is what really began to get to me. Why do you have the right to get up there on a stage full of 10 and 15,000 people and say how we should live, tell us how we should do, tell us we should be 100% personal use and all these people skills that we're supposed to have and all the core habits, as you remember, be accountable, all these things. And we're supposed to live like that, but then we don't even get an explanation as to what happened in your life. Like, you can't be real with us, but you're supposed to be mentors to all of us. That bothered me.
Yeah. Yes,
like this, I begin to feel really, really manipulated and really like, I am not this stupid. Something's going on here.
Absolutely. Yeah. When I did research on my own time and figured out, because when I was there, they toted her around as if she was she was a single diamond lady.
Yeah.
And like they praised that fact, right? Oh, she's a single. But she wasn't single. She built it with her now ex-husband. And it's okay. If they got divorced because he went and made extramarital affair decisions, why can't we talk about that? Yep. You could stand up and stand on your shit and say, hey, that we don't stand for this. This goes against our core values. This goes against our, what do they call them? The rules.
The cardinal rules.
Yeah, the cardinal rules. Like, that's why he's gone. Like, stand on your business and actually like own it, because everyone's going to be questioning it. Everybody fucking knows. Yeah, like you said, they're parading themselves around in front of hundreds, if not thousands of people. And then all of a sudden, oh, she's up there by herself, but we're not allowed to ask questions. We had this conversation before, because there is another prominent diamond couple that is now doing the same fucking thing, which is really interesting, because I think this answers this question. Matt Wynn is no longer allegedly worldwide. They're definitely getting divorced, though. That information can be pulled up on the legal records of Maricopa County if you're curious. So Matt and Briley they're getting divorced. And I had heard that they were not on the speaking circuit. I heard this from Nandi. When I spoke with Nandi, she had been out for a very similar to your situation. She was out for a very short period of time. And this was in 2023. And they had been off the speaking circuit for maybe like a year or two, or a year. And they really hadn't come back into prominence since.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I kept wondering, why are they not speaking? I would ask people, I'd get the response that's like, well, maybe he said something, maybe they're being punished, maybe they didn't qualify. But I now speculate, now that I know that they're getting divorced, I have a feeling that this, obviously, I feel like this affair had been going on for a long time, and that they maybe tried to patch things up. Maybe they went to a little bit of Restoration Ranch, if you know, you know.
Yes.
And then she disappeared, and she, like the other lady, reemerges as this great, fantastic single diamond lady. What? What?
Yes.
Like you said, people are taking marriage advice from these people. Decades.
Exactly.
And then just them to parade around as if we're not allowed to ask questions. Like, if your husband's having an affair, sure, you don't have to openly like talk about it. Like, you don't have to give me details. Am I nosy? Yes. Will I go find it? Yes. But like, just be honest about it. Yeah, you know what? He went against the cardinal rules. Sorry. And we had decided, and then that makes it okay, right? That makes divorce okay. I am a very personal, like, pro-divorce person. I feel like if you and your person, if somebody's like abusive, if somebody is being non-monogamous when it's not consensual, like, there's so many different aspects. You could look at him funny and not like him get divorced. I don't care. Like, but just like when these people in Worldwide make it seem like it is such a sin, like they treat marriage and murder like they're the same. If you make it like that, then obviously you're going to have to keep hiding things. But if you turn this, you could turn it into such a positive and be like, listen, that's bad. We don't condone that kind of behavior here. And you could, his upline could have even, which are the Rustrums, Ty and Ann Rustrum. They could have had Ty and Ann standing up there with B&J, the Crown, and they all could have been like, hey, listen, like, we know you guys saw this person before. We're going to have to address this because everybody has seen this couple for 10 fucking years, right? And we stand on principles here that if you mess with someone's spouse or you mess with somebody who is not your spouse outside of the business, doesn't matter, this is what your consequence is. And it's just to let everybody know it's cool. It's okay, because this is, they could even throw out the term abusive if they really needed to make it sound like extra, because there are people who think abuse is a form of cheating, which is a whole different conversation itself. But still, like, stand on your shit. But you have to go around and pretend like these people don't fucking exist anymore. Just be quiet, don't ask questions.
Yeah, and here's what you're saying essentially is, we are all human beings. We all have challenges. We all have mistakes. We all have done things. People go through divorces. That's the world we live in. No one's perfect. But when you put yourself literally on a pedestal, literally on a stage, and you are a self-proclaimed mentor, financially, emotionally, spiritually, that's a whole other level, is a spiritual manipulation that they do. And the restoration head dude, Paul, and his wife and all of that, and many others over the years that we've seen in 30 years. But my point is when you put yourself on a stage and you proclaim that you are the mentor of thousands and thousands of people, you owe explanations when things don't go right. We would be more respectful of you, and I'm sure you would agree, if you would just get up there and say, hey guys, there's some challenges going on right now. So-and-so's not going to be with me. Matt's not going to be with me. We're going through some stuff. We would just ask for your support right now. But we're still here. We're still here with you, or something to that effect. But to pretend and to act like nothing's wrong, and it's almost like back in the days when a woman would become pregnant, way back, and she'd go away for 9 months and hide until she had the baby. It's that. It's like, let's just hide all this until it's over and no one remembers or gives a shit anymore. That I began to see a pattern of this over the years with, I could name so many different names, just diamonds. I mean, big pins that had no right to proclaim themselves as your mentor. And these people are telling us what to do with our marriages. They're telling us what to do with our finances. They're telling us how we should be living our private lives. And they have absolutely no credentials to be able to do that. Their own lives are a mess. And I think that's where I really began to, over the years, I'm collecting all of this in my head. I'm seeing all this. And bless my husband, he's so sweet and kind, and he tends to be a little bit naive in some areas, not in a bad way, but he's just one of those super positive, like trusting type of men that he wants to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. And I'm like, honey, sometimes people are messing up right in front of you, and
Really?
so it's taken him some time to see. I think that message that R sent me last week, our Upline Emerald sent me last week, that text message I just talked about where I'm an imposter, really woke him up, because he's like, I thought he was my friend, and he just spoke to my wife like that.
Yeah.
So you start to see over a period of time the manipulation that's going on, and really the fact of the matter is you're just a tool. You're a tool in the system that pays for your Premier every month, that pays for your Kate, that pays for these functions. Are all getting paid off of it. And when I started really finding that out through my own research, like what you've done, I realized this is actual fraud. I sat in business plans for 30 years and they never talked about that. Why didn't they tell us that they made money on the tools? Why didn't they tell us that they're making money on this stuff? Why don't you just be honest?
Absolutely.
It's the secretive part. It's the denial of it that is so corrupt. Yeah.
Yep. It's devastating. Mm-hmm. It really is. And
when you find out you're a tool in the cogwheel, and that's really all you are, and that's where the love bombing comes in, and that's where all this we believe in you and all this crap comes in, you really finally start to see, because we started stepping away probably we're really since COVID. Because when COVID started happening and everything went virtual, were you in the business then? I think you were.
I had left just before.
Okay, that's right. I remember that. So when COVID came and we started seeing the functions go virtual, and we started seeing the diamonds literally scrambling to figure out what to do, because what is the worst possible thing that could ever happen in the Amway business? You can't get to a function. Oh my God.
Yep. You better die trying.
What do they always say? You can sleep when you die. Get to the function, and you're not even done with one major function before they're pumping the next one. Day one tickets. You know how it is. So here we are in the middle of COVID, and you can't get to a function. They were completely derailed. And then when Brad got on to Kate and sent a message that he expected every IBO, whether you were married or not, to buy a ticket to the virtual function that they were going to do during COVID. And that function was expensive. It was a couple $100. And he even had the balls to say, if you're a husband and wife, we expect you to have the integrity to buy 2 tickets.
That's crazy.
We know you could buy 1. We know you could do that, but we expect you to have integrity. So you want us to have integrity because you don't.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Yes, and COVID really shined light on areas that people hadn't really seen before. And that's something that I hear commonly is like nobody questioned things until COVID, because they had to. They didn't have a choice. It's like, well, why do we both have to buy tickets if this is virtual? Why are they full price tickets if it's a virtual function? Like the excuse that they would use is that you're paying for the arena, the staffing, like they could justify it somehow. Mm-hmm. But when COVID hit and they're charging the same price on Zoom, that's when people, I think, started to really question, like, well, why? And then that's when I think it became more speculation of, well, is there some sort of money that's being lost right now? And that's when a lot of people started to connect dots. And it's like, it's crazy it's crazy that it took a global pandemic to really shine light on this, because from the beginning up until this point, had you ever really truly questioned how the upline were making money before COVID? Yeah.
I remember telling my husband so many times, and we would argue about it, honestly, as I would say, this is a racket. Come on, this is a complete racket. I said, do you not think that why do we need communicate? Why do we need, because remember back in the day when we got started, which was the 90s, there was product pickup. You did stuff out of your garage. There was no communicate. We had a tool at that time called Amvox, and it was a It was a voice system that you would, that it was similar to a communicate, where you would communicate with your upline, your downline, whatever. And I always wondered, okay, well, I guess that makes sense. They need, if you have a team, you don't want people calling you all day long. And, but again, all this was, it wasn't mandatory. It was an optional. And they would say that these are optional. These are optional tools for your business. You didn't have to do it. But then it got to the point over the years we saw that Worldwide now has an app. They've created an app, and you can't even get in to look at your business. You can't even see the calendar. You can't do anything unless you subscribe to that app on a monthly fee. And that at first it started out as $5 a month. And then it was like, for $5 a month, you can get on here and see the schedule. And, they were just kind of getting the app going. And then it went up, and it just kept going up and up, and they'd redo it, up and up, and they'd redo it to the point where it was like standing order used to be optional. Then standing order was part of the premier membership. And then Matt Wynn himself,
my favorite guy,
came on and did a CD about the benefits of premier membership.
I remember that.
Oh my gosh. And it was an ass kicking, basically, of you better be on Premiere, and if you're not, you're a loser.
Yep. I don't know anybody who's ever been successful that wasn't on these apps. The same who was like, I don't know a diamond who ever missed a function. Like these manipulative terms that they're using because they know, right? We don't know, but they know that they are getting paid from it. And it's really unfortunate that that's, well, actually, okay. I have a question. Yeah. Oh my God, this just popped in my head. So you have this perspective of where you were before the app. So you went from product pickup, and you have been through all of these different transitions.
Yeah.
Okay, so when they did start to introduce this technology, was there ever any speculation from the IBOs that's like, and I know you just talked about how is the app necessary, but like, did they almost spin it? Because I remember when Matt would talk about it, he would say, "Oh, well, Upline would steal their downline's money, so putting it virtual now that can't happen." Was it ever spun that way? And did you ever actually hear or see Upline stealing money?
No, I wouldn't say I ever saw anybody stealing money, but I can remember when we go to the functions and they were always cash at the door. This was before the app. This was before the app many years ago, and there was always cash at the door. And all these platinums, you're coming in, they're selling you the little paper tickets, and you're going in, and they're taking your cash, and I'd see these platinums taking metal boxes full of cash to their little back rooms or wherever they would do. And I used to think, I'd be like, that's weird. Like, that's weird. I just thought that was weird. And I mean, I understand the functions weren't free. And I mean, those were like $7 back in the day to get into the function. They were a lot more affordable, $7. There used to be $5 when we first were in the 90s. They were $5. It was like, okay, $5, no big deal. It just kept getting higher and higher. So I can't say I ever saw anybody steal anything. But I'll tell you what they were very good at. Before Worldwide would ever implement something new, like the app, because that was a major change, they would prepare you weeks and months in advance. This is what's coming, guys. It's so exciting. Worldwide is on the cutting edge. They made you to believe you are on the cutting edge. Worldwide is the best. They are the most successful thing in Amway right now. They are the top of the line with everything that they do, their infrastructure, their technology. And you were just led to believe, oh, this new thing that's coming out is going to help our business. It's going to be amazing. You're not going to have to pay for cash at the functions anymore. You're going to do it all through an app.
That's crazy.
So they just were very good at preparing you for the success that it was all going to be in their minds, So we just would go along with it. And now Communicate's gone. And now they have a new thing called Topics that Worldwide has started. Yep. It's their own Kate system now. So Kate's gone. It's completely gone. We were at the very tail end of that before we got out about a month ago. And so now it's called Topics. Yeah. And it's going to be their new, it's just like when they started DreamStream. Remember when the photo stream was started with the iPhone thing we talked about? And then they went to DreamStream, which was now a worldwide thing through Facebook. Now they've started this thing called Topics. So they're like all in-house now with everything that they do so that it's their money. Yeah. So I think it's $29 a month that it's going to be, from what I recall, but I never signed up for it because obviously we're getting out. And our upline texted us and said, "We noticed you're not on the new topics app. Is there a reason for that?" Well, gee, I wonder why you asked me that, because you ain't getting paid on me. I said, "We're no longer IBOs." So that's when that whole thing kind of started, with the messages from our upline calling me an imposter. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So there was no, and this is the thing. I remember back in the day, Ron Prieur teaching, and my husband grew up with the Prieur family. He knows their sons well, the son that passed away. He played football with their kids. They all grew up in Spokane.
Oh, wow.
So my husband actually knew the Prieur family personally. And I always felt like Ron was a nice guy. I hate to think that he was in on the grift, but I'm sure he was to some degree. But I do remember Ron always saying, do not ever judge anybody for what part they want to be in your business. If all they want to do is be a customer, then service them. Just service them, and be their friend, and be 100% genuine to people, and don't be weird.
I remember that.
Just don't be weird. Like, just be nice to people. If they just want to be a customer, then great. Service them as a customer. Don't turn away volume. It's volume you turn away on the table, And I remember him saying that, and I thought, when Rick sent me that message, I was like, why would you call me an imposter when you should just be grateful I could even be a customer? But that's not how they work, because that's part of the tool scam, is that if your text message aligns with exactly the same time as I got off Premiere and Kate and canceled all of that, that tells me right there everything I need to know. You're pissed because you're not going to be making money off of my subscriptions any longer, because that's where the real money is. And it's just a fact. That's where the real money is in this business. These diamonds and emeralds and above, they're making most of their income off of the tool system, not Amway. That's only a small portion of their income. And I've done my research. So people that are out there wanting to get out, get in, whatever, that's it. Just do your research. Just get out there and do the opposite of what they tell you to do. Start digging. Find stuff out before you dedicate years of your life and your finances to this business.
Seriously. It's insane to me. Just how the deception and how deep it runs. Mm-hmm. Now, there was something that I had asked you the very first time that we spoke, because I am from that area. I knew who your diamonds were because they are like an infamous couple in Worldwide. They were used as the prime example. I don't know if it's still the case now, but they were used as the prime example. This is why you do not cross line. If you guys know, if you're from the Portland metro area and you were around during this time and you know of a couple, what were their initials again? R&B?
R&B. Right? R&B.
Yeah. If you know who R&B are, they were, and you had said it before, you said your upline emeralds.
Yeah. So
please tell me about this upline, because this story still blows my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were in the business we've been in the business for 10 years or so by the time that hit, 8 to 10 years. So in around about 2003 to 2005, those 2-year period of time, there was an investment coming through the state of Washington, through the Seattle area, where this guy named Kevin Lawrence, you can look it up. So it was called Zenetics, and it's all over the internet. You can go look it up for yourself. But anyway, this scam came through Worldwide, and there were people investing in this. So this guy basically came up with an idea to come up with what's called an HMC, a health maintenance center's business model, where it was going to be everything from gyms to chiropractors to massage to facelifts. I mean, it was like this all-encompassing health maintenance centers idea. And he was getting everything from people from Hollywood, big people that had money everywhere. I mean, it was global. This guy was getting people to invest in it. And then he was going to offer an initial public offering so that your stocks and all this investment that you would put into it would double and triple, and you would just become instant millionaires. That's what we were told. Okay. So this all came through Worldwide, and diamonds and rubies and emerald. I mean, everybody was investing in this. So our platinums at the time, which were between us and R&B, came to us and said, do you guys want to invest in this? What can you do? And so like dummies, we listened to them and we did, and we put in some money. And we waited for this big thing to happen. And then there was all this infighting going on in R&B's business. It was going on everywhere, but all I can say is what I witnessed in their business. So when all was said and done, the cross lining that was going on between their 6 platinum legs completely exploded and went, Mach 9, and everybody quit. Every single one of their platinum legs quit except for one. And we were 2 of the only people left standing. Well, we were the only 2 people left standing in one of the platinum legs that quit. So they lost their entire diamond ship because of this investment. People were putting money in and people were infighting, and, because it's being double-minded, I mean, you're not supposed to be investing in this, but everybody was doing it because it was like too good to be true, which it was. It ended up being a scam. So yeah, they lost their entire business, and they have been trying to get back to being a diamond ever since. And they're now currently emeralds, just newly qualified emeralds as of probably about a year ago. But the thing is they've been, in 2020, they had the 2020 vision that 100 families would be free and that they would be diamond. That was in 2020. That was 5 years ago. So you start to see after a while, like, why isn't this working? Why are the same people that I'm sitting here in your living room, this is the same group of people that I've seen for years sit right here at the same pins, including us, because people quit. You have to keep rebuilding. There's no freedom in this business. These guys work their asses off. I'd rather have a job 10 times over than to do what they do. They never stop. Ever.
Right.
Ever. It's a constant recruit cycle because people quit. So all of that, you start to just see all this as a whole. And that whole investment thing that came through their business was absolutely devastating for them. There's no doubt about it. And they are an example. I think they're used that way a lot in the business because of that, because they lost all of their platinum legs, which are technically cross lines to each other, So there's a little bit of that, kind of in a nutshell. It was pretty crazy.
Wow. I always wondered what it was that happened with this couple. They were always used as the example. They lost the whole diamond ship because you don't, because of cross lining. And it's funny now because I wonder how the crowns were involved. Because if Upline were telling downline to invest, right?
Maybe that's even some of the investment you're talking about. I don't know, because I don't have privy to know everything. But there's been weird stuff going on for a really long time. And it finally just got to the point where I told my husband about a year ago, it was after COVID, and I saw all this, and I saw all this weird stuff. And here's the thing, during COVID, it was like, you guys want to charge people $200 a ticket, and these people are sitting in their living rooms just like you and I are doing right now, having a discussion. And you can't ignore that stuff after a while. It's like, this is just wrong in the middle of a pandemic when people are dying and losing their jobs. And you're going to charge people as a couple over $400 to watch you on a screen.
Wow. Yeah.
That's just sick. That's just sick to me. That really pissed me off.
Wow. I mean, it is insane the way that they treated the pandemic. I mean, and I was in Portland for the pandemic, so I know how very strict Portland was during that time. And it was a very unprecedented time. Nobody knew what the hell was going on. We didn't have the foresight that we have the hindsight on now. So looking back, I'm glad I wasn't around the business at the time, because I heard, because of course I wasn't there, but I heard how anti-vax they were, how anti-mask they were, and how they were telling, like, there were, I don't know, maybe if your diamonds, or I'm sorry, not diamonds, were doing it, but I know that the Canadian diamonds were quite literally telling their downline not to get vaccinated. And for me, that's, I know everybody has a different perspective on that. I think about it because during COVID was when we had a medical emergency with my dad. And it was purely because of him that I got the vaccine. And my kids, obviously, but like, because I knew how vulnerable my dad was at the time, there's no way I'm going to sit there and have my upline be like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm taking away your bodily autonomy, just so you know. Because they do that a lot, too. They tell
Yeah.
you how to live and everything, but I could only see myself getting into. So, well, I honestly, probably not. I say that now. I'd be like, I'd fight with them. No, I wouldn't. I was so scared of them in that sense. But to see how they responded to those things, it's really sad. And as you're kind of with that perspective now, how they ended up being. I kind of want to go back a little bit. I want to go back to when you were first getting around this business, when you were really getting, sucked in. I know that you had said that you had left your family. Did you have like friends or other family, siblings, cousins, anybody that you were close to that you had told about this opportunity? And how was their perspective then? And did it evolve over time to anything different?
That's a really interesting question, because I've been telling people lately that are in my life and family members that I've, after so long, they knew us to be, Amway people and sell them products, and, everything they ever got for Christmas was through the business. And they're all just like, oh my God, thank God you're out. Oh my God. I mean, that's the response I've been getting. Yeah. But back in the beginning, when we first started, everybody was really supportive. And, especially my brother, he was just a little bit of a side note. My brother and I were 18 months apart. He passed away from AIDS, unfortunately, but, a few years ago. Yeah. But he and I were so close. We were just like, I just can't explain it. The closest we had, but I was raised to believe that my brother was my uncle. My mother posed as his sister for many, many years. One of the marriages that she had that failed, and the only reason I'm telling this, it is a really important part of my story because it affected everything that I did, is that, my brother was raised by my very sick, narcissistic grandmother. And we were told he was my uncle, and that my mom posed as his sister. We literally went to family events where she would pretend to be his sister when she was really his mother. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So one of the divorces that she had, which was our biological father, we both, luckily, out of all these men my mom was married to, he and I had the same biological father. So my brother and I, my point to that was we were always super close, super protective of each other, because we found out of all my mom's 5 kids, he and I were the only 2 that had the same mom and dad.
Yeah.
We don't even know who that father is. He came and he went in my mom's multiple marriages that she had. But when we found out we were real brother and sister, and we did our own digging, and we actually found out we were related, my brother was like super, I would say he was probably the one that was the most supportive of my business. Wow. And my brother was gay, and he used to do a lot of the drag shows.
Wow, that's cool.
He used to do a lot of the drag shows in Portland, and he would buy the artistry makeup, and he was so supportive of my business. He really, really, really was. It was just, I think back on those days, such a weird question you'd ask me that, because he was so supportive of me and everything. I don't think he realized what we know now. Back then it was just, I loved the makeup and the skincare, and him and his guy would buy it, and they would go do these shows, and he's passed on now. But just this week I had lunch with his, widow, his husband. They were married before he passed away. And I told him that I got out of Amway, and he was just like, he was so happy. He was so happy.
Wow.
But they never judged us. They never said anything negative about the business. They were always really, really supportive. And I think most of my family were really supportive. They really were. And all of my friends, but now that I've told them I'm out, they're all like, thank God. And I'm not sure, like, why didn't you tell me how you felt earlier? Maybe you could have saved me some years here. So that was like a roundabout way to answer your question, but I'm just fascinated by that they didn't say much, but now they're like so relieved. What do you think about that?
That's a unique perspective, but I wonder if it's because I feel like parents now or family members, they have that hindsight because they saw the sketchy stuff Amway was doing, and they heard all the negative things over time. But if you see a family member there I know it's not the beginning, but Amway was not known the way Amway is known now. Like, we have the internet where we can talk about all these things now. And I just wonder if maybe their opinions evolved over time, where like they didn't realize how predatory it was and bad it was back then. But as they started to kind of maybe see how like your life was just sucked into it and like everything that you were was Amway, they kind of like maybe started to have their own reservations. But I could see, like, as a sibling, I could totally see myself being like, hey, brother, I'm really like, I love what you're doing, you know? Then again, no, I tell my brother to fuck off. But just to give him the benefit of the doubt, right? Any siblings who were positive, right? It's just to be supportive of your family member, especially when you're so close like that. But wow, that's
Yeah.
how, from an outsider, I could totally see that being how at the beginning they're like,
Yeah.
oh, this isn't bad, and then being like, no, I'm glad you got out.
Yeah, and another thing that's good. That's interesting you say that because we were around before the Quick Star era, which when Amway became Quick Star, and they tried to remake themselves and go on to the internet back in 1999, and that lasted from 1999 all the way to 2007. So we went through all that transition too, where everything went online, and I feel like what you and I were talking about earlier is once everything started being exposed online, it's taken some time, but you could not do the digging then that you can do now.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
had no place to go find out. You couldn't Google anything. There was no Google, and you couldn't find out the intent behind MLMs. I think all of them are bad. I really do. I've never seen
Right.
a successful MLM. Every single person I've ever known that's been in any kind of MLM, whether it's the oils, the Sensi crap, or I mean, I've known friends that have been in a million of them. The LuLaRoe stuff. Every one of them end in some kind of sad, disastrous story.
Absolutely.
I don't see it going well with any of them. And now I feel like we have the ability to be able to go, wait a second. We have an encyclopedia at our fingertips online. Go dig, people. It's like go dig before you just take some dude or couple that you met at Walmart that they want to introduce you to their mentor, and they've got this amazing mentors. I mean, I always thought that was so creepy, like going and talking to complete strangers about a business. I absolutely hated every minute of that. I never liked it. I was never good at that. My husband was way better at that than me. He would kind of rein him in, and then I would do the training. You know, that's how that worked. But we have the internet now to be able to dispel all these myths. We don't have to be wondering about this stuff anymore. Go look up all the old stuff that's been going on for years. It's all there. Look at this. Look at the stuff you found out that we've talked about. It's fascinating.
It's sad. It is.
It's very sad.
But I love that that's where the progress has brought us, right? That we can finally come out and have a broader audience to spread this to tell them like, hey, and when I was involved, right, it's 2019. We were 2016 was when I first got involved, and then I left in 2019. But in 2016, we were at this time where they could still use some of the excuses that they still try using today that they're outdated and they're not valid, right? So before they could say, so anybody out there who's been on Reddit, you know that Reddit can be a cesspool. But Reddit is also a fantastic place. But Reddit is also kind of outdated. Like people are not going on the internet forums that people were back then. Gosh, when I was first involved, I mean, this was like the end, really the true end of MySpace, when MySpace was no longer a thing.
Oh, I remember MySpace.
Yes. So during that time, there was a lot of like, what's the best word to say? There was a lot of trashy shit on the internet. Let's just be real. There were websites that were weird. And there was one that I remember bringing up. And this is where the example of, well, you go on and they just spill nonsense, right? That's where that came in. There was this website called The Dirty, and it was created by this guy, and people could go on there and talk shit about whoever they wanted. Lo and behold, who's on this website? Matt and Riley Wynn. They are on this website, The Dirty. It's no longer around. I wish I still had it, but I found them on there, and there were people who were like, they're trying to get me into a cult. Like I went to school with her, or I went to his club and it was not fun. Like just so much shit talking on there. Like the internet was a wild place back then. Yeah. So when they use that excuse, that's like, oh, I don't know what kind of internet forums you're on. That's why it was more valid. Today, on the other hand, I feel like that's a very outdated excuse. I had somebody recently tell me that I was looking on Threads. So when I was sitting down in this meeting, I was talking about how, and they didn't know that I was in Worldwide. They had no clue. I didn't tell them. I used a fake name. I told them about Paul, like what I knew. They never told me anything, but I knew who Paul Sika was and his book, get married, stay married, right? And I talked about how he discusses abuse in this book. Now, I didn't mention specifics to physical abuse, whatever. They just immediately went to physical abuse. The things that, in my opinion, Paul Sika talks about in this book are very toxic, and in my humble opinion, are very abusive. And they're like, they proceeded to syndicate to my, who was prospecting me, right? I use air quotes there since you guys can't see me if I keep this part in. But they sent her a Kate and we're like, yeah, that's so weird. She must have, we don't know what deep internet forums she's been on. And I'm like, that is such an outdated way of telling people to not do their research, right?
Yeah.
And it makes me glad that we can be out here and really show our faces or like be a voice instead of just a text on screen. It really is a good thing, but there was like you said, a decade, two prior where that wasn't happening. And through that time that you have seen in worldwide specifically, how have you seen the business change in size? Has it just continuously gotten bigger and bigger, or have you seen it get bigger and then smaller?
Yeah, that's a good question. When we got involved, it was really booming in the 90s, honestly. That's probably the largest growth we ever had in our business, and it was honestly before the internet. We had the biggest growth in our business when it was people coming over to our garage and getting their products. Wow. We didn't have all this technology stuff going on. It was just hands-on, loving on people, and we were good at that. We were good at being good friends to people, and we never judged anybody. And so that's when we were, 2,500s and getting and above that, pretty much 4,000s for a while there during that time period. In the business, the functions were crowded and the business was growing a lot. Then we saw it like really explode probably about 10 years ago. It really, really just went crazy. Probably about the time you were in, Danny, that 2016 period of time. And then they went to where they had two functions. Portland got so big, they had to have Portland A, Portland B. I don't know if you were in at that time.
I was, yeah.
Okay, so that never was. So when they went to Portland A, Portland B, everybody was so excited because like, oh my God, Portland's on fire. And I would say that they probably had a period of time that they were.
Yeah.
And there was those two functions, and they were just standing room only kind of stuff. And you'd go to the meetings and the functions, the rallies and the regionals and the second look meetings, the monthly things that they would do. And then COVID happened, and then when we started going back to live meetings, everything went down to Portland only has one function again. That was like very noticeable to me. I was like, wow. Like we went from needing two functions, two regionals when it was the regional month, to now we're just in this little hotel room and it isn't even full. And that first function that we went to after they came back live was Jim and Bobby per year did a regional. And it was just like, it was downtown at the Marriott in downtown Portland. I was just like, that room was barely even half full. And that was like, whoa, there's some stuff that really has happened since COVID. A lot of people have left. A lot of people have probably woken up like myself, figured some stuff out.
Yeah.
And on the whole faith thing, I want to say this because I don't want to forget to mention this. And I want to apologize to everybody out there. Not that I did anything personally, but to just apologize as a Christian, because I was listening to your podcast with Megan the other day that you just put out, and she mentioned a lot of things that I feel the way she feels is that being a Christian woman myself, they're not doing it right. That whole thing, that whole faith manipulation thing, that's not, and I feel really bad for people that have walked away from their faith or they're confused about the Christian faith because of the way they manipulated it. It was so wrong. It was just very wrong what would happen at those conventions where, you'd go to these functions and they'd have the Sunday service. That's just the way that they did that was not okay. And I just feel so bad for people if that hurt them in any way. And I just want people to know that, like, if you have any interest at all in knowing about Christianity, go to the right sources. It's not through Worldwide, because they use that to guilt people. They use that to make people feel bad if they didn't. I mean, here you have this massive altar call that Sika does, And then straight after that, stay in your seats because we want to show you this video now of Restoration Ranch and we want to pass the bucket around and you've got to tithe. And I remember feeling like, this is icky. This is the most icky feeling. Why are they doing this? And that's not the way it should be. This prosperity gospel crap. So I just want to throw that in there because I think it's really important that people that have been hurt in the business at these functions that went to a church service and were confused by that, it was not the way it's supposed to be.
I appreciate that so much. I really do. I love that. And I love the people like Megan, like Ixia, or we had this girl Ashley on too, who like just being able to bring that perspective of like, even the faith was used against these people who are devout Christians. And that to me was like such an eye opener because I hadn't really heard that perspective before. So anytime anybody brings it up, I'm always so grateful. I remember Ashley, she had been on, it's probably been 2 years now since her episodes come out, but she was the first person who really talked about what it was like for her faith to get weaponized against her. And she said that her upline told her that her God was wrong. And that if she wanted to leave the business, that their God was right and hers was wrong, as if there was this difference between. And like it was like, that's crazy. But then to hear and to learn about like from Ixia, we learned some of the phrases that they use and what they actually mean. Getting the that was so cool. And then to hear from you and from Megan, just all of these different perspective about how faith can be such a positive thing. And I love hearing about it. I'm definitely one of those people who's like, I got beef with God right now. Like maybe we'll figure it out. Maybe we won't. I don't know.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And you know what? I've had that too because I've been everything from Mormon, and then that led me into the super charismatic movement, the prosperity gospel. You get what you speak. And I suppose that was also a reason why Worldwide was attractive to me, because I was told that was how you do it. You get what you speak. And, you know, God doesn't have any thing wrong with you being rich and all this different stuff. And I finally just said, get off the train. I need to get off this train. This train is just, it's a wreck about to happen, but you can't take your eyes off of it kind of a thing. You know, it's like Worldwide is just a big wreck. It's just like a train wreck that you can't take your eyes off of. That's what it makes me think of. It's like, here we all are. All of us are talking about the business that we're not even a part of anymore, but we're fascinated by why we were a part of it. How did we stay in it as long as we did? I know you had 3 years. I had 30. There's other people who have had whatever. And it's like, it's fascinating to me. What is it about this train wreck that is so encapsulates you? And it's a combination of everything we're talking about. It's a combination of your faith, your family, your finances. And if they, because that's everything, right? I mean, think about what it takes to live on this world. You have to have money. You want to have a happy family. Everybody wants to have some kind of a faith that grounds them. And so they target every one of those things, and they're very good at it. They're very good at taking those things and manipulating them just enough to where it's not so overt and obvious, because that'd be too obvious. Then it's crazy scam, but just enough to where they can manipulate your mind and you become what you're around, all that, and I just feel really upset about the faith thing, because I've learned so much over the years being a Christian that is not, if you're interested about what Christianity is, just go get yourself a Bible and start reading it. That's all you have to do. Just get yourself a Bible and start reading it, because most churches are corrupt now as well. I mean, we've just got so much corruption on every level going on right now that you just have to be really careful of your mental health. I think that you don't get sucked into these vulnerable organizations that can really, really harm you for a long, long time.
Thank you so much for that. I do. I appreciate it. I hope that somebody out there hears that and really resonates with it. I definitely do. Hopefully maybe one day I'll figure it out. Who knows? But I do love the fact that we can have these open dialogue conversations, because for so long, especially if you are out there and you were in Worldwide, you can't have these open dialogue conversations. That's against the rules. Questioning anything is like the worst thing. And like, you get scolded as if you're like a child almost, the way that they acted in asking questions. I actually had another kind of topic I was hoping to go on to if you're okay with it, but I'd love to hear the perspective of what it was like being a parent and being in Worldwide for so long, and how do you feel like that impacted the way that you parented? I asked this because we've had the perspective, right, of I was raised in Amway, and her parents, anti-MLM kid. If you guys don't know, please go check her out on TikTok, the anti-MLM kid. She is amazing. But she talks about what it was like to see her parents be IVOs in Amway. And spoiler alert, they've never gone diamond. They're still involved.
Wow.
But as you know, I'm obviously, I'm sure that there's some guilt there, right, of being a parent and being a part of Worldwide. But I'm genuinely curious if like you can remember when you were in the midst of being a part of Worldwide, you were happy to be there, and how it impacted the way that your parenting was, if that makes sense. Does that question make sense?
Totally. And honestly, I'll be completely honest. I can't say that I can ever look back at any one of these functions, regionals, SLMs, board plans, incentives. I never liked being there. I was doing it for my husband. Honestly, I'm not saying there wasn't some times where we had some fun. I'm not saying, there was those times, but every single time I was in these situations, all I wanted to do was be out of that. I really was just trying to support my husband because he just wanted this so bad. I love him that much. Yeah. I mean, we may have met in a personal ad, that's true, but we truly do love each other. We really do. We weren't just, when he met me, he said, "You're going to be my wife." And I went, "Okay, well, I still am." So, and then we had our kids, and our kids grew up knowing this business. They saw us go to functions. They saw us do all these things. And my husband and I would have a lot of arguments about it, honestly, because my kids were both in sports growing up. My daughter was into like horseback riding and all this different stuff. And, she wants mommy and daddy to be at all these events and watch me do this and watch me do that. And we wanted to, go on vacations and all this different stuff. And you know how they always taught delayed gratification. You cannot do any of that until you're diamond. And I remember having arguments with my husband and saying, that's not how this is going to go. I didn't have a childhood. I didn't have a mom. I didn't have a dad. Had nothing normal whatsoever when I was growing up. And if you think my kids are not going to have some kind of normal thing, even through this business, that we would fight over that. And I would be the one that would miss things. He would go to functions. He would go without me. And we would argue about that. That was really a problem for a lot of times in our marriage. But I just knew, I'm like, he's not capable of seeing what I see right now. So I have to be the one to go be there for my kids. And there was good that came of it. My husband and I have come to this place where it's like, we try to take away the good that we learned from this business. And they do have some great self-development things that they teach you. How to be a better parent, how to have a better marriage. There is some good elements that we've gleaned from and that we're holding on to. You have to, otherwise you're like, you could lose your mind if this whole thing was a disaster, because that's hard to live with after 30 years. But raising my kids, it was like, I just tried really hard to be the mom I knew that I would have wanted when I was growing up, despite the business. And there were times that, I didn't go to things and just didn't do things. And there was a fight. Fight. And my daughter came to me recently. It's interesting you asked that, because my daughter came to me recently and said, I was raised in this business and I have a lot of feelings I'd like to express about that. There were times where dad wasn't there that I wished he was there. And I told her, I said, honey, you're going to have to talk to him about that at some point. You're going to probably have to go. He's maybe not ready yet, but yeah, that might be a conversation that you have some healing to do with him. So this affects kids. It's like the MLM kid talks about this. When you're in this business, you're taught that, your kids they won't care that you missed this. They won't care that you missed that. And it's like, no, they do care.
The trip to Disney.
Yeah, no, they do care. Because my daughter to this day, as of a week ago, said to me, I remember my dad not being at things because he was at an Amway meeting.
Oh, gosh.
And my heart broke. I was like, I'm so sorry, honey. And I said, it might take your dad a little bit of time because he's deconstructing so much right now. But I said, I know he loves you. And I know that he thought he was doing the right thing by building the business. He thought he was going to give you everything. So she knows that. But the fact of the matter is, your kids and your family do suffer because of the manipulation tactics that this business will put in your life. And if you allow it, it'll take you over. I just never allowed it. I never allowed that. I was like, I'm not going to do that. So at least I was smart enough to see that as a mom.
It's amazing. I love that. And it is so true. It's good to hear. It's so good to
Yeah.
hear because seriously, good for you. I mean, like you said, it does cause a fight, but like seriously, a major applause because the way that they do take over your life, it is
Mhm.
intense and it's insane. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot that comes down to it, and I'm always curious from people. I don't, I think I asked the anti-Muslim kid this, but I'm always curious from a kid's perspective who lost their parent in Amway. Like, what was it like sitting down at a restaurant if you ever were allowed to go?
Oh
Have you ever
God.
sitting down at a restaurant and your parents are prospecting the waitress? Because that was me. I did it. I would love to ask my kid. He doesn't remember because he was so young, but I always have that question. So if you ever
Oh
come
gosh,
laughing or
Danny.
gives you an answer, we'd love to hear back.
No, Danny, thanks for bringing that up because there's so much that if you don't ask questions, I'll think of it after we hang up and I'll forget. But I can remember taking our kids to dinners and to anywhere we would go, and they would both be like, our daughters would be like, Dad, please, because I was never the prospector. I hated it. I never did it. I told them flat out. I said, I'll register people. I'll be that. I'll service them. I'll teach you about artistry because I like makeup and all that stuff. I'll be that, but I will never. I just don't. I can't do the prospecting thing. And so we just had our roles, but our girls would say when we go out on vacation or anything, Dad, please don't prospect. Please don't prospect tonight. Dad embarrasses me. And I'm just like, oh my God. The fights that we would have as a family over this, and and we would take him on vacation and he'd be like, no, we need to delay our gratification. We cannot do that. And I'd be like, well, we're doing it. And I took our kids to Disneyland and San Diego and on cruises and to Mexico and all these different things when they were growing up. And I'm like, no, we're having them one time when they're young. And I'm not going to let anything get in the way of that. I just had a need for that for myself because I didn't have that as a kid, And so it was a constant battle of please don't prospect while we're out in public, Dad. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They were always so embarrassed. But what's weird, Danny, is that our youngest daughter actually ended up getting in the business. Her and her first husband got into the business when she was 20. And it was because of the pressure that her dad put on them. He thought, and to his defense, my husband's an amazing person. None of this is to make him feel bad because he may listen to this at some point, but he's an amazing person and he truly, truly thought he was trying to help them. But they got into the business and it caused their marriage issues and they ended up getting divorced, not just because of that, but it was part of it. It was part of it.
Yeah.
And so, this business affects a lot of areas of your life. It's pretty much all encompassing. Yeah.
Wow.
And you don't really realize it until you're out of it and you can step back and have a bigger, broader perspective of, it's kind of like just stepping back, like I said, from a big train wreck and looking at it and going, what was that I just did for 30 years?
Yeah.
What exactly was that experience? And trying to dissect it and really learn from it. And I am trying to do that because I can't deny that it did affect 30 years of my life. And I've had the thoughts of what could I have been if I hadn't been in this? Where would I be right now if I hadn't been in this for so long?
Yeah.
It's kind of sad, but I'm trying to just embrace what I can. And I would say my story would be to help people. If anybody hears this, don't waste that much time trying to figure this out. Don't do it.
Wow.
No judgment. I mean, hey, everybody can, like you said, if you're 18 and above, if you want to build a business, great, do it. But I can honestly say, watching what I've seen, people, there's only 1% that ever make it. You're not going diamond, folks. You're not.
They buy their diamond ships.
They buy their diamond ships. Yeah. And I mean, I remember one time going to a Platinum's house and their garage was full. There's like garage qualified, as they say. And this was the Platinum that used to be between R&B and us, the ones that quit with the whole investment scam that came through. Well, we had gone over to their house one time and I walked in and I could not believe the amount of products that were in their garage. I was like, what are you guys doing with all this stuff? And she looked at me and she goes, well, we had to go platinum, so we bought it. R&B needed us to go platinum, so we went platinum. And I just went, what? this isn't, I mean, I guess if you look and you go, okay, well, if I have to spend this much money, but then I'm going to turn around and get this big bonus check for going platinum, maybe it's worth it to them, but it's not sustainable. It's fake. And then they get up on stage and talk about all these successes of the business. Most of the time, these people are buying their products. We as IBOs are the customers. We're the ones using the product. No one's selling this stuff.
Well, and you were telling me earlier, one thing that you wanted to for sure mention was how you had seen that allegedly Julie Duncan's not using the products.
Oh yeah. Oh God, thanks for saying that. Yes. Back many years ago, I was on because we were, building the business and winning incentives, and we were, on the up and coming whatever. We got invited when they came into town for it was their family reunion, B&J's family reunion, which they hosted the Portland Coliseum for many years. So we got to go over to their headquarter hotel and go into their room and decorate. And, you go in and you bless them and all this stuff you're so blessed to do for these mini gods. And anyway, we go into their room and I'm looking around. You know how you kind of snoop around because you're like, wow, we're in their room. And I go over to the bathroom because I want to see what she's got in there. And I could not believe it. There was not one single artistry, satinique, glister, all the things that all of us know. There wasn't one Amway product, not one. Every single thing that was spewed across that counter because they had been busy doing things and going to events, so all her makeup was everywhere. All her skincare was everywhere. All of it was from France, like fancy French names I certainly didn't recognize. Not one single product in the business, when just the day before they had been up there preaching 100% personal use. Yeah, I'll never forget that.
Wow.
In fact, I went to our platinums at the time, which were the ones that hadn't dropped out yet. And I asked her about it. I'm like, did you notice any of that? And she's like, well, maybe she just tried to rationalize it. Like maybe it was a gift or I'm like, no. This woman is 100% using things from everywhere but her business.
Yeah.
So that really,
wow.
I just never forgot that. That was quite an experience to see that. And we are at a major function nonetheless of them preaching core.
God, change or remain employed, they would say.
That's crazy.
Me. Honestly, it doesn't surprise me. I speculate. I don't know. I will never know. Artistry makeup was terrible in my opinion. Like I bought some good quality makeup, like the pigments in those eyeshadows were terrible for me personally. I broke out with one of the artistry skincare lines. I hated Satinique. That stuff made my hair feel really bad, but I used it because that they would say, like you said, personal use. There was a story that was passed down, if you will, from upline to downline. There's a platinum in our Emeralds organization. He was a platinum in Michael and Leah Haddad's organization. And allegedly, they were in there for a board plan. And he went in and made an example out of him. And allegedly went through all of his cupboards and found all of his X products, product X products we're not supposed to use.
Brand X.
Brand X, yep. He found all the Brand X products and put them all in a trash bag in front of people.
Oh, because
that's how devoted. They're like, you're not going to go to our house and not find. And I'm like, bullshit. I don't believe Riley Wynn is using artistry. I am so sorry. I fucking doubt it. If your makeup's looking that good.
Not with her makeup.
No. She would wear bright, like bold makeup.
Bright colors, and artistry don't even make that stuff.
Yeah, they had one black in a palette that came out around Christmas. Do you remember that? It was like a red, a black, a white.
Yep, okay. Yep.
I was so happy because they finally had black and it never came back. And I hated it anyways. But that doesn't surprise me. I don't doubt that these people, they're not chowing down on those fucking bars. They're not drinking excess.
I hated those things. hated those bars. And my
so
husband and I would have
gross.
so many arguments about that. He'd be like, you need to get those protein bars. I'm like, those things are disgusting. They're full of absolute crap. I will honestly say I was 100% addicted to the Excess. And I broke myself off of the Excess 2 months ago. I can't even believe I did it. I actually am like so proud of myself because I really was hooked on that. I drank 2 of those things every day for years. And I sat down one time and added up how much I spent on Excess, and I could have bought myself a freaking BMW.
You're not wrong.
Oh my gosh. But you're right, Danny. These people are not. I saw way too many things. And I remember one time Rick coming into, well, anytime he would come into someone's home, and he made it very clear that, if you have brand X in your bathroom, when I go to the bathroom during the board plan, I will not come back. And so it was always like, if your upline was come over to your house, you better hide your crap. That it's not.
Yeah, you hide everything.
It's just this lie. It's just living this lie. And it's like, I got to the point where I'm like, this is ridiculous. We are grown adults here. We can buy whatever the hell we want.
Yeah, for a lot cheaper too. Like, yeah. Did you find an alternative for Excess that you found instead of, or did you just stop altogether?
Yeah, no, I actually did. I found one that's pretty healthy. It doesn't taste quite as good, but it has, I can't remember if it was your show or somebody else. Maybe it was Sarah, I want to say. No, she was talking about the chemicals in the Excess that keep you hooked. Is that your show? I've listened to some. Sarah, I think that was Sarah. And I started looking, when I heard her talk about that, I started looking into it, and that acesulfame potassium or whatever the heck it is, it causes inflammation. It can cause cancer. I'm like, dear God, I've been drinking this stuff for 20 years. So I started looking online for a healthier alternative. And I did find one that I feel like it's pretty good. The ingredients are good, but I'm trying to just break myself off of energy drinks, period. Yeah. But I still feel like it's my favorite thing in the morning to just crack my cold energy drink. It's just,
my fiance's the same way, except he drinks Monster, so he's by no means looking at the ingredients. He's just like, feed me all the chemicals. It's all good.
I'll have to email you the one I found, and you can go from there and see if you like it. But I found it on Amazon, and it's pretty decent.
That's awesome.
I love that. It's very, very healthy. Yeah.
Well, and you have the freedom to do that. You can go on and say, okay, I know what I want to put into my body. Because again, just if you're out there, we don't shame for the chemicals. I'm a chemical consumer too. I told Sarah the same thing. But you have the freedom to do that. Okay, I know.
Yes.
It's not that you don't have to consume Excess because it's what you have to drink, right? You get to say, okay, you know what? I want X, Y, and Z ingredients in there, and I do want these. I can go online. I have the freedom. I can consult an actual professional, not somebody who's a professional in fucking Amway products, and really understand what I want to buy. And if it's more expensive, hey, I can do that because I'm an adult, and the true meaning of reallocating funds, right? And prioritizing, this is healthy. I can justify buying it. That is so freeing and empowering.
Yes.
And that's something that we never had the privilege of doing while we were in these types of organizations. What are some other things you've had fun buying after the fact? Like, are you still a makeup person, and have you found a joy in purchasing makeup outside of artistry? Do you still use artistry? Like, what is your whole process on products now?
Yeah, that's so. I've had the best time actually. Probably over the last year, because when after COVID happened, I told my husband, I'm like, I'm done. I will never go to a major function again. There was FED was coming up, and it was in Everett at the time when they did FED. That was after things kind of came back after COVID. So I drove up there with him, but I did not go to the function. I stayed in the hotel room. And that was the last major function that I would say I even went to attempt to attend. And he'd be like, well, you can watch it on the computer. So I'd play it for a little bit while he was gone. I'd be like, why am I watching this? And I just slammed down the lid of the computer. I'm like, I am just so done with this. And so about that same time, to answer your question, I started like buying different things. And my husband didn't say anything because he knew. He's like, we're just slowly edging out here. And I used to, way back in the 80s when I lived down in San Diego, I worked for Estee Lauder. And I always loved Estee Lauder and Dior and Clinique and all those brands, So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I get to go like buy what I want now. And now there's so many new things. Like if you go to Ulta, there's a million different products that, I way more than even that. So yeah, I do definitely still use makeup and different skincare. I stopped using Artistry skincare years ago because I really didn't like it in the first place. So this is funny what I would do though. I would get like an old Amway jar and I would like empty it out or whatever, use it, whatever I would do. And then I would buy what I wanted and put it in that container so my husband wouldn't know that it was.
Stop! That is fucking queen shit.
That is what I did,
Amazing.
Danny. I did this stuff so long. I hid it from him. I'm like, he is never going to know because he wouldn't. Most guys don't know.
They're not going to go looking.
No,
Yes!
he saw me using my little jar of Artistry and he just had no idea that, oh, no, that's not Artistry in there, dear.
Oh, I love it. I'm sorry. See, it's the things that you have to do to survive.
I had to do what I had to do for a while till I could get, honestly, I'll be honest, the fact that my husband is even where he's at, because quitting was never an option. That was never going to happen. And I was like, how am I going to get him to get where I'm at? And he's still not exactly where I'm at, but he's way closer. And the fact that he knows we're not IBOs, we're not doing any of this. And I mean, his response was, you just cut my legs out from under me. You just took everything away from me like overnight. I'm like, I sure did. And I'm doing it for your benefit. And now he's starting to see why. And when he saw that message from, Rick, that pretty much validated to him exactly. I told you it wasn't what you thought. But for years I had to do that. I had to fake stuff. I had to bury stuff. I had to hide stuff. And just the fact that we would have to do that as grown adults, what does that tell us? Like, that's just sick. I work hard for my money and I can buy whatever the hell I want. Yeah, and another thing that upset me was when they would say at the board plans, and I heard Brad say this, I don't know how many times, thousands of times. Well, it's the same products you buy at the store. No, it's not.
Yep.
No, it's not. Number one, it's 3 times the cost, and it is not the same stuff we buy at the store. And I always thought that was weird. Like, why are you telling people, well, you're just switching your buying habits, when they show the napkin plan?
Yeah.
And here you're going to shop at your store, you're going to shop at their store, and you're going to get the same products from your store. And I would always think to myself, no, they're not the same products. They're Amway products that are 3 times more expensive, which they have to be because they have to be able to get the ratio of the payout in those products so they can pay people that are built it to big levels. That money has to come from somewhere. Yep. So that's why all MLM products are notoriously high priced, because you've got to have that profit margin in there to pay out your distributors. So there's so much to this. I mean, we covered a very small portion, I'm sure, but anyway.
That I personally think is great information to share to the people, because they're going to, as much as they're floundering, but they're going to keep evolving. They're going to keep doing what they need to do to ride the wave. Keep finding what are the kids doing these days? What is the young generation doing now? Like, they're going to keep trying to keep up with the times. Yeah. And I think as you've seen all of the different shifts that have happened, I almost feel like there's a really good way to kind of go through your story and figure out what could be next. What are they going to do? Wow. I think that definitely the dating apps are a really good perspective, that they might not be doing personal ads anymore, but they're still doing those. And now they're using LinkedIn. They're reaching out to people on LinkedIn and trying to do things virtually now. I was prospected virtually. So I think your perspective really is amazing.
Wow, that's weird you say that, because just this morning before we got on the call, I threw away the last thing that Rick had given us is a PDF that he sent out to everybody, I don't know, a couple years back. And I was going through all my stuff and just getting rid of it, throwing things. I mean, I've got years of stuff to throw out. And it was how to develop your name list. And it was all these things that everything from, the person that your kid plays baseball with to all these cheesy, just on and on and on and on. And I looked at that list and I just thought, this is so creepy. This is so creepy that we're just supposed to start cold calling all these people to try to get them into this business. And I don't know if you remember, but way back, one of the books on the book list was Generation X. And they wanted everybody to read Generation X so that we could understand how Generation X now thinks, because that was the new and up and coming people to prospect. They always want you to prospect young couples specifically, because they want to get young couples into the business. Number one, they're young and they can manipulate their thoughts, and they can start brainwashing them very early on. People that are my age, too late to do that. Unfortunately, I've been in the business a long time. I'm already brainwashed. But if you were to go prospect somebody my age, they're not probably going to listen to you. They want young people like you, you know? So yeah, you're absolutely right. They're going to continue to evolve how they're going to recruit. And I'm sure you remember that when the process came out.
Yes.
That was
I was
all
there right at the beginning of the process.
Oh yeah, that was all created by the Canadian Diamonds.
Yes.
Dean and Marcy. So Dean and Marcy came up with that whole thing, and then we were all supposed to completely flip, and everybody starts doing the process. So don't, you know, we were told, don't talk about Amway at all. Don't tell them it's Amway till they get to the board plan. And then they'll drop the A-bomb during the board plan. And you're just sitting there in your seat going, here it comes. How are they going to react? So embarrassing.
Yeah.
Then now we're flipping over to the process. Now you're going to tell them on meet and greet 2 that it's Amway, and you're going to prepare them for the board plan. So they're completely always evolving what works, what doesn't work. Well, now everybody's sick of having to do 20,000 different meet and greets before you finally get somebody to a board plan. That's not working anymore. People fell out. Yeah, people fell out. We were doing it. It's like, these meet and greets are ridiculous. We're having to meet people 4 and 5 times at coffee shops before they even get invited to a board plan. We stopped doing that on our own because it was like, this is too much work. So now they flipped it to something else where you don't do the meet and greets anymore. You don't do the process anymore. And anyway, you're absolutely right. They're just going to keep evolving. And then we're just going to have to keep telling our stories, aren't we?
Yeah.
So that we can hopefully save. I figure if I save one person this week that might hear this or your podcast or whoever, and somebody goes, wow, I almost got in that thing. I've done what I wanted to do, is just to help people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's very meaningful, because that's kind of what we have now. And I hate to say it like that, because it's like, damn.
Yeah.
I think the best perspective that I really like that you've had is, I didn't go through this for nothing. And to have an opportunity to share that, because not everyone, even like, I mean, now that I'm in my 30s, I listen to my dad more. But I remember being in my early 20s when I got involved, and I didn't listen to my dad for shit. I mean, our relationship was very strained. It's a very convoluted story, but you don't listen to your parents as much, right? And I hope that people understand that. It was like, my dad was very anti-Amway, very anti-Amway. In fact, I have like a super old episode, if you guys haven't heard it. It's like maybe a year or 2 it's been out. But my dad came on and talked about what it was like to be my parent while I was in the business. And
wow,
God, we fought so much while I was in there. And all my upline did was, your dad's just negative. My dad up until recently, my dad had the same job my entire life.
Wow.
28 years worth of time, my dad worked for the same company. My dad had he still has the same benefits at the new job that he has, but like, they would criticize that. They'd be like, oh, well, your dad's going to retire at his job, and that's like terrible. And like, now I'm looking at it and I'm like, my dad has a much nicer car than you guys. Him and his wife, my stepmom, I say his wife, like, I don't know. Like me, like my dad and my mom, my stepmom, they have a really good quality life, and they're going to be able to retire because they were smart financially, because they worked the same jobs for decades now and have the flexibility to leave work if I need to. If something happens, my dad can leave work and they trust that he's gonna be fine, right? And my stepmom, same thing. She, in her career, has this same flexibility, loves her job, and they always criticize that. And now looking back, I'm like, that was the dumbest thing that I could have ever heard come out of their mouths, because my upline were like, they were job hopping like crazy, which I then took on that same thing. And it was it was horrible. I hated it, because I look back now and I've been at my job now for almost 3 years. I love what I do. You guys, I love what I do. But I can't look back and say just yet that I've been somewhere for 5 or 10 years. And that sucks. I'm 30 and I can't say that. And that really like hurts that I did that to myself.
No.
So when I
Yeah.
say that, I think it's important for other people to get their perspective out there. People who are younger, they might not be listening to mom and dad, because what do mom and dad know? They were around in the 90s. They were, you know, that's way back when they were, like you said, doing the product pickup. They don't do that anymore. Amway doesn't do that anymore. No, they do. It's just different.
Yeah.
So hopefully they hear your story and they're like, oh no, maybe it's not that different.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, I thank God my husband's always been an entrepreneur and we've always been self-employed. We have another business too that's actually has provided for us. And I'm so great. And I'm so grateful for that we've always had, that's been our income, you know, that our other business that we own. And, I'm really grateful for that. But that was always treated like, oh, that's just a gig. That's not the big thing. The big thing is Amway.
Unbelievable.
And my husband, I mean, it's hard to look after all these years and realize, no, actually the fact is that business that we actually own, that business is what has kept a roof over our heads for 30 years. And I thank God that we had that. I thank God that because I've known people that have put all their eggs in this, like R&B. Okay. Yep. He was a financial planner and he gave that up years and years and years ago. And I remember looking on the calendar when you'd log into your, you know, your worldwide app and stuff and look at the calendar. And this guy is showing the plan like 7 nights a week. He's flying all over the country, just trying to hold this thing together. And I'm like, you're not free. This isn't freedom. This freaking sucks. But you don't have no choice because you put all your eggs in this basket and you quit your job and your wife doesn't work and you guys have nothing but this. You have no choice but to hold this together, because if this goes down, you're homeless. I mean, probably not homeless, but you know what I mean? Like your income stops. Yes. I don't know what all they have on the side that what they've got going on outside of this, but from what I can tell and what I know about them, it's always been all this. And most people that retire and quit their jobs, it's all this. And so I feel like I'm the one that won. You're the one that won because I got out before that happened. I got out before I did that stupid stuff and lost everything because of this business. So I'm going to choose to look at it like I have a story to tell that can help others. You have a story to tell. We all do. And that if that can benefit someone, my experience, our experience, that's great. And I'm going to tell it because I can't wait till someone comes up to prospect me because they're going to hear a mouthful.
If that happens, please come and tell us about it because we would love to hear it. But I think that's amazing that you did that. And you were talking at the beginning and it sparked a memory. And I always talk about this. I always try to mention it every opportunity I can because you guys, it's the smart people think, oh, well, you've got to be a dummy to get involved. I promise you, some of the smartest people are in this business. There's this girl that I follow on Instagram. She was my cross line. She's still involved. She's got 2 kids. Hopefully she's all happy. But when she got in, she gave up an opportunity to work for NASA. Wow. Because apparently she is a brilliant mathematician and she had this opportunity to be one, I think, of few, if not the only female on this project, whatever she's going to be hired on to do. She quit that for Amway. So you guys out there, I promise you, it's really the smartest people are getting involved. They just happen to be at a very vulnerable time in their life. And it's really sad to look now and all these people that you think are retired, they're going back to work. You either don't know it yet or they're giving you an excuse. Ty Rustrom, I was there when he quote retired. He's back at work now. Or BJ Breon, he also had quote retired and then had to go back to work. And that's just 2 examples of many people who have had to go back to jobs. So this is not what they're telling you it is. No. And and
here's the thing. I feel like here's a red flag that everybody should pay attention to. And that is anytime somebody comes up and tells you, don't do this, don't check online, don't go check this out here, massive red flag, go do exactly that. You go and get your little butt right over to your computer or your phone and you start looking exactly what it is they're showing you. Because that right there, I feel like that's cult-like manipulation just in and of itself. As soon as someone takes your ability as an adult away and tries to tell you you should not do this so that you can actually find out what you're getting involved with, but they do it in such a covert way that's like, well, they don't, if you go online and start looking at Amway or Worldwide or start Googling stuff, they don't have your best interest. They don't really know what we do. So don't go do that. Well, that's exactly why you should go do that. And had I had the brains to start doing this stuff a lot earlier, not listen to these fools, probably could have saved myself some years here. So that is what I would say, paying it forward, is you've got to be smart enough as a person, as an adult in this world. There's so much crazy stuff going on that you research what you're about to get involved with. If someone presents you with a business opportunity for any MLM, this happens to be Amway we're talking about, but any MLM, do your research. We have an encyclopedia at our fingertips. There's no excuse not to. Do not. And if someone tells you not to, and that you're a loser if you do that, or whatever it is, run. Like, seriously, run. That is the first step in your brain about to become manipulated for a long, long time. Don't listen to it. And I'm sure you'd agree, Danny.
Absolutely. 1,000%. Always ask questions.
Yes.
And the sad part is you will learn very quickly at the first time you meet these people. They're not going to answer them. They will deflect. They might give you the, we're not at that stage yet. We can discuss that at a later time. But right now we're just still trying to see if this is even a good fit. What is the good fit, right? Okay, let's say they do tell you it's Amway right away. Let's say they do. Do your research on that, okay?
Yeah.
And they'll tell you, oh, well, only people are sharing the negative. That's because there's a lot of negative to be said. Yep. Not only that, see if your upline is willing to show a true, authentic profit and loss statement, because they're not going to show you. They're not going to show you their bank account. They're going to tell you how disrespectful it is to ask that question, and they will show you maybe just the BOV, right? The
BOV,
plan. They'll just show you those. They'll be like, oh, this is it, but they won't show you what's in their bank account. You'll never know how much.
But they'll want to see yours. But they'll want to see yours so they can counsel you about your finances. Isn't that strange? But you can't know what but you can't see what they are legitimately saying that they're making, but they want to know what your bank account is and how they can help your budget so that you can spend all your money every month on tools and products and basically barely pay your rent.
Yeah. Matt Wynn used to say, I would put this business over my rent. It's like, motherfucker, you've never had to. Like, of course your dumbass can stand on stage and say that. Like, he used to say, oh my God, I've seen this. He did, oh my God, his board plans. God, he could talk forever. He would always say,
too fast. Talk too fast. Just like T. Baker.
Ah, yes. The guy who talks fast. Where we refer to him. Yeah. Like, and he used to say, and it was like, it's the cringiest shit, but they try to, they're rags to riches stories. He would say, I was homeless for 2 weeks. I'm like, what? 2 weeks? You were couch surfing for 2 weeks? What? No. And then they would, so he's saying that, right? Knowing that he's got the privilege to, like, if something happened to me, I'm very grateful. I do have a place that we can go to family-wise. Not everybody has that. And they would parade around if people were kicked out of their houses. There were people who were kicked out of their houses for building this business. And they would be like, hey, guess what, guys? So-and-so's sleeping in his car and showering at the gym because he believes in this business.
Yes.
And then they threw away their mattresses to build this business. Like, you guys, it's insane the way that
they sold their whole whole front room, living room set so they could make it to FED. They're a winner. Go, yeah. Everybody just goes crazy over that crap. And I used to sit there and think, I always thought that was weird.
Yeah, we never did that either.
And yet here we are talking about this exact couple that was your upline, and they're not even around anymore. And yet look at what influence they've had over people. Yeah. Look at the seeds and the lies they planted into people that aren't even true. It's heartbreaking because some people do those things. Some people don't pay their rent. Some people believe in this so hard to the point where they will literally go without the things they need because they are promised that if they do that, something great's coming your way soon. Yep. I thank God that we never did that. I thank God that my husband we always had another business that provided for us, and my husband's always provided well for us. But that's sick. That's all I'm saying. That's just sick.
Yeah, it is true. Yeah. And people will take that literally. People will
Yes.
do it. And they did it. They certainly did. People would, like, the amount of times people are like, yeah, they would talk about how they just moved back in with their parents because that's what they were coached to do. I was coached to stay with my mom. That was a horrible fucking thing. And thankfully I did me out and I had a roommate. They coached me back into my abusive relationship. That was also pretty cool. They are just these people, anything that they tell you to do, they are not willing to do it themselves. They really aren't. They're not out there doing it. Bullshit. They had especially with you when talking about like the Bakers. I refuse to believe. He would always say, I drove a beat down car and I would buy a cheap beat down. Bullshit. I like to speculate that his parents bought his.
I doubt that Glenn and Joya would have allowed that.
It's insane to see these things that these people are saying. And you're right. They spew this message that obviously ended their marriage. And part of me wonders if, I don't know if you had this experience as a woman in the business, but a lot of people, including myself, I've seen a lot of the misogyny that they push in this business. And unfortunately, those diamond or going diamond wives, they almost perpetuate it worse. Like, I just remember Briley Wynn talking heavily. She clearly is pushing this message where she worshiped the ground that her husband walked on. Yeah. But it's like, did she ever stop to think that there were red flags in her marriage that her upline was enabling? Because her upline, as a lot of women, Nandi, she talks about it as well, is that her upline enabled the narcissism that her husband inflicted upon her. And this business will shine a light on those really narcissistic characteristics if that's what a person, man, woman, whatever, has, or of the non-binary variety, like whatever you identify with. It will shed light on those things. And it just makes me wonder how many women in her business are afraid to get divorced, or men or whoever are afraid to get divorced because she pushed this message for so long. And now she has the audacity to come back to the business, be that single diamond who's in the business, and just pretend that she was never married, never gave that advice. Like, I just wonder if she lays in bed at night and feels fucking guilty for what she says.
You know, I think it all goes back to this to me. It all goes back to, here's the main premise of everything that they do and every decision that they make. They want to hold on to every IBO that is spending money, buying products, subscribing to the apps for as long as they can. And when they start to see that a loss and they start to see they've lost you or you're starting to figure some stuff out, they come up with a new grift. It's like they've got to continually manipulate the story, manipulate something to keep you involved, because the longer you're involved, they're making money off of you. So I just feel like they will keep manipulating that, including, I mean, I remember one time when my husband said to me, this was way back when we first got married, and something he did and wanted me to do or something that I disagree with. He goes, well, you're supposed to submit to me. That's what the business teaches. You're supposed to submit to me. And I looked at him and I went, honey, you married the wrong woman if you think that that's the way I'm going to roll. I love you. I want to support you. You're my husband, and I absolutely believe you're the head of our home and all those things, but we are equal here. There is no, I'm not going to be no doormat. And he learned that real early on. I don't even think he really understood, knowing my husband, if he even knew what that really meant. He just heard the diamonds talking about your wife should submit to you. And if I disagreed with him, that was thrown in my face. Well, you're supposed to submit to me. So we had to have these conversations ourselves very early on. And I would say, as a woman in the business, that's absolutely, yes. I have seen that so many times where, the man is the feature. Even at the functions, it's like the woman gets up and talks for a few seconds. And then she goes and sits down in the chair behind him. You know how it rolls. And then he comes up and then, the talk's for him. And she's supposed to just give him all this adoration for the first 5 minutes of her talk. It's all about what he's done, how fabulous he is. And this is what these guys do. And then you come back to these functions, and then some of them aren't even there anymore, like Matt and Briley or Leslie and Brad. And these diamonds we're talking about that for, a year ago, they were up here talking about how perfect their lives was. And now they're divorced because they cheated on each other or something happened. Yeah. And I'm just like, but wait a second. You were marriage counselors last year when we were here. And we were going through a hard time, and we believed what you said. And it was a lie.
Yeah.
And so these women are taught to obey, don't ask questions. I think it's really prominent in Amway. I think
Yeah.
some of the other MLMs, a lot of women do some of the other MLMs, like the oils and the LuLaRoe type stuff, the Huns they call it or whatever. But in
Yeah.
Amway, there is something about the couple thing that is very, it's very much what you're talking about, the submissive woman stuff role, and that's just not me. That's not how I mean, I'm not saying I don't love and support my husband, but this isn't the 1800s. Like, I have a voice.
Through that.
I have a
Yeah.
voice. And quite frankly, I'll be really honest, and I really believe this. We women have a lot more insight than our husbands usually do. We see things they don't see. We pick up on things they don't pick up on. And if it weren't for me, he wouldn't even know what he knows right now, because he's not the one on the internet digging through stuff. I am. I'm the one who found this stuff out. You're the one who found this stuff out, right? So let's pat ourselves on the back that have a brain to do that as a woman.
You guys hear that? Bad bitches. Like, this is fantastic stuff. No, I love it. And it's so true. And my poor fiance too. I am not by any means the submissive type. But it's just funny. I think about I met him after I left Amway. I'm just trying to think about what it would have been like for him in the business.
So he was never in the business?
No, he got prospected once though, and he got the phone number for me and gave it to me. This was before I was healed. This was because he worked, and I don't mind saying this because we don't live there anymore, but he worked off of 82nd and King Road, in like that kind of area between Clackamas and Portland, and that is a hub for people. And he worked at a gas station. So who's going there? And he worked the night shift overnight. Who's there overnight? People from worldwide who haven't gotten their name yet, right?
Oh no.
I had only just told him about it too. Like, this was we were together. This was during COVID. So we were together for maybe like 6 months before I told him I was in a cult. Like, I was like, I was embarrassed still. And it was a lot. So when I spoke to this person, I knew she was the moment she said her name. I was like, oh shit, I know you. Like, she was downline from our Emeralds. We were crossline. I said her name to her. I gave her a fake name. And she was like, we don't pull bullshit. I fed into it for like a minute. And then I was like, yeah, just so you know, this organization promotes and supports domestic violence. There's a lot of toxicity here. Do not contact us again. She was like, what's your name? I was like, I'm not going to tell you that. So this bitch calls me a week later on a Saturday at like 8 p.m. and has the audacity to keep questioning me about my name. I was like, what, do you need to send a Kate up about me? Like, what the fuck do you need my name for? And obviously I'm healed now. Like, in retrospect, I'm like, wish I would have said all of these things. But no, he was not around it at all. Honestly, I think we have too dark of a sense of humor. I don't think I could have ever been on stage and not been like, well, that was pretty shitty, or some sort of curse word to pop out.
You're too honest. You
exactly.
I think what it is there's a certain kind of woman who will, I don't know, I guess they fit the mold of what they want. And I remember telling my husband, I don't ever want to speak on stage, so why are we doing this? Like, I don't want, and his goal was just to go platinum, and we got close to that a few times, but the thing is the bigger your business gets with, here's the thing, the bigger your business gets with people, and to go platinum, you need a good 50 people plus, a good solid 50 people spending about $500 a month. You're running about $22,000 a month through your business. That's a pretty solid platinum. Okay. But to do that, think of the level of manipulation you're having to do with those 50 plus people. Those 50 plus people every month, $500 goes to products. Several $100s goes to the apps, several $100s a year, thousands a year go to the regionals and the functions and the big function, the major functions. I mean, stop and think about that. I told my husband, I said, I can't do that to people. I cannot, with good conscience, sit there and sit with people and explain to them that they got to come up with money they don't even have now. And now we're supposed to tell them they got to come up with more. And then you've got somebody like B and J over here, or R and M or R and B over here, the uplines telling you, well, if they can't afford to build this business, well, that's the reason they need to build it. because this is going to get him out of that trouble. And it's just such a manipulative lie that is so deep. And it's like I was telling you earlier, I actually feel like I have social anxiety now because of it. I actually can't handle crowds. I cannot handle anywhere where there's a ton of people. It just triggers me. It's really something I'm going to have to work through.
Yeah. And I totally empathize, because as we talked about, I feel very similarly. We have an experience that not everybody goes through. Not your everyday person can say, hey, I was in a cult for 3 to 10 to 20, 30 years.
That is crazy when you say that. That is like, you're right. We have been through something.
Yeah.
Thank you for what you do, Danny. Thank you for giving all of us a place to come and talk, that you cared enough to even start a podcast. I mean, I've thought about how awesome it would be to do that, but I have to be honest, I'm a little overwhelmed at the prospect of that right now. But I appreciate that you felt called to do that and that you're doing that, because you are giving, it is so healing to talk about it. And I'm not even sure that at this point I want my husband to hear these things, because I've been on a couple other ones too that invited me on, but I'm not even sure that he's where I am yet to even be able to hear some of this stuff, because men are different than us. They have egos, and they're super into what they do for work, what they accomplish, what they don't accomplish. And Worldwide taught that these men are failures now. My husband is now looked at as, you are a loser and you are a failure. And so it's going to take him a little bit of time. I don't see it that way. I see it like, thank God I got out of that and I won because I figured it out. But he's not going to see that yet. So for you to do this, and I know I've heard Stefan and Jenna's story. I've talked to them a lot on Instagram and stuff. They're amazing. And his outlook as a man, and he's even said, hey, have your husband call me. So I think as a community, what you're saying is so nice, to have a community where we can share our stories with each other. It's very healing. It's very healing. Yeah. And I don't know what's next, but I'm just very grateful for the opportunity to be with you today.
I am very grateful. And shout out to Stefan and Jenna, you guys, Exes.ibo on Instagram. They are incredible. I know you have a story as well with Roberta Blevins coming out, right? That one's
this month. She invited me to come on this month towards the end of July. Yeah. Can't wait. She's amazing. I've listened to every single Amway story on there. I keep listening and re-listening to it just to know, like, I'm not alone in all these feelings. It helps you a lot.
Right. And hopefully one day when your husband is ready, introduce him to Steve's story too. Steve was a man in Amway. He went Emerald. Emerald qualification, but the guy went Emerald, right? So his story is unique because he was also like, I was just having fun building my Amway business until he realized his upline was screwing him over. And I think that it's so good to hear all of these different perspectives. I do empathize with the men, though. I really do, because we, as women, we were given the misogyny blatantly. There's a whole different feeling when you are edified for so long. You are the one put on a pedestal, and then it's ripped out from underneath you. And that's exactly what they do to men. They will very quickly boost them up. That is a man's man. You are like, they are very, if you guys haven't been around this, they're a very like traditional type of organization, very conservative, Christian values, men, women on stage as a married couple. Like, it is a very traditional space. And so men are taught and groomed into being what they are taught as masculine men. Like, this is if you're not leading your woman, if your woman's not here, it's your fault, blah, blah, blah. Like, so I could see how when you are taught to be this big human, they make you feel so small afterwards. So no, I have a lot of empathy for your husband, because that's a lot. That's a lot to accept. And especially having that happen for over 30 years. So
they prey on that, because like, I mean, I can remember so many times when we were in board plans, house plans and stuff, that he would use Marlon as example and build him up. Oh, Marlon was an athlete, and gosh, he played college level sports, and what's that do for your, makes them feel great, makes them feel good. They just edify. That's what they do to make it's the love bombing again. So for him to have lost that right now, he's licking his wounds. He's licking his wounds, and now he sees he was just a tool. He was a tool in the cog, and those are really hard things to accept. But I just keep telling him, but you still are those things. The fact is, you still are a fabulous athlete. The fact is, you still did all that college level stuff. You still are that person. I'm sorry that they used it to, make you feel bad, if because now it's like, oh well, now you're a loser because you quit. So I'm just really sorry that they use that to manipulate you. That's just gaslighting and manipulating, and they're masters at it. And we have to, I think,
winner.
And here's the thing. I just think, Danny, that we have to recover from this. There's some healing that has to happen. If that means you have to go talk to a therapist, I don't know. It depends on how level deep it is for you. But don't be afraid to do that if you need to do it, because we were in a cult, and that is crazy to think about. I can't believe I fell for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really never thought of Amway as a cult. I really thought of it as just a business. But when you start putting all these pieces together and you start seeing how they tell you to live your life, how you're supposed to do this, how you're supposed to do that, you can't even go on vacation without counseling with your upline. There's more to this than just a business. They want to control you so that you will stay in long enough for them to make money. And they know you're going to quit it. I believe this. I believe they know you're going to quit at some point. I mean, what was the famous saying? Some will, some won't. So what? Remember that? Yep. Some will, some won't. So what? I think they made a song out of that at one of the functions. And we're all standing there chanting, some will, some won't. So what? It's just sick. I think they know you're only going to be in until you figure some stuff out. So the goal is, how much can we make off this person, this couple, and then we have to replace them when they quit. So then we got to have to recruit someone to fill that spot. This is the reality of it all.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. But I cannot thank you enough for your willingness to come here, even just to chat with me. I love talking to you. I think you have a lot to share, a lot to really just not just add to the conversation, but to really open up people's eyes. And I'm really grateful that you were willing to come here. If you guys would like to be like Lisa and you guys want to come on and share your story, please email me at dani@exesandtpodcast.com. And you're also welcome to message me on Instagram at exesandt.podcast. You guys can find me on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, everywhere that podcasts are heard. We'll catch you guys in the next episode.